We are live here
at Pillow Talk. Hi, happy Thursday evening.
Hope you guys had a wonderful day. We had a wonderful day today. I know
yes.
The kids are back in school and everything. And,
I know. Our school system starts a little bit early, so maybe your kids aren't back in school yet. So our kids are in school. They're going to bed. It's quiet time. It's Pillow Talk time.
Yeah. I want to send a special thank out to all the coaches that joined me at 1 o'clock today for a Bible study. We had a powerful time. A couple of technical difficulties, but other than that, everything went really, really well.
Exactly. You know what I'm so excited about Pillow Talk tonight? I don't know about you guys, but this week was a rough week. Was it a rough week?
It was a rough week.
It was a rough week. And so we're always telling you guys to take out time with each other, take out time with your spouse, spend quality time together. And it's so easy to allow the cares of life and everything that's going on to cause you not to spend time together. And it was a temptation this week.
Really was.
It was a rough week. But we said we have set aside this time to talk about issues that impact our marriage.
Because we're no different than what you guys are dealing with out there. We've just made a decision that we're not going to let the enemy win, and we're going to fight through the different difficulties that we have to face.
Right.
So,
in the words of, I think it was Pastor Michael D. Moore out of Birmingham, he said, pastors don't get
discount tickets.
You don't get discount tickets.
Which we did.
We all have trials and tribulations and things that we have to deal with. So.
Yeah.
So awesome. You ready to get
started?
We are
ready to get started. And like I said, guys, remember, we got a great topic tonight.
Yes.
Guys, I want to make sure that we understand this, that what we do is we're going to meet for about 20, 25 minutes. Then after this, guys, you got to do the homework. I was teaching today earlier. I said, you get the information, but it's not until you put the information that you get into practice.
Exactly.
And I gave them the example of when me and my wife went to this Dave Ramsey thing. Dave Ramsey teach people how to get out of debt. And we went there, man, we were so fired up. Yay, yay. We left with all these books and pamphlets and then went home. We were still in debt.
But we had no envelope.
Because we did not put into action what we had learned. So I want you guys to make sure you put it into action, because that's what will save your marriage. It saved our marriage, particularly the topic that we're going to deal with tonight.
And let us know. Let us know. Inbox the ministry personally. Let us know. Are you guys spending more quiet time together? Whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Are you carving out time, finding time to make time for your spouse?
And I knew today was going to be a little challenging because tonight, football season kicked off. So I know a lot of guys were trying to watch the football season and different things like that. But guys, it is very important.
Don't get me started
that you take
on
out
the
some time
football season.
Yes, take out some time.
Because she gonna be there.
Yeah.
Regardless of the team, whether they win or whether they lose. Whether we ban football. No, we're not ban football. Okay. She's going to be there. All right, sweetie. You ready
let's get started tonight. We're going to talk about dealing with in-laws. And this is something that you're going to have to deal with when you get married.
You got to deal with this one.
When me and my wife first got married, we sat down and we went through premarital counseling.
On the
Just
porch.
like we encourage couples, if you're going to get married, you need to go through some type of premarital counseling.
You need to talk to somebody.
You got to talk to somebody, preferably somebody that has done it and are successful at doing it.
Not billing them on the job or Ray around the corner,
right.
But somebody that can really give you guys some proper guidance, someone who is not biased, who is going to cover those key topics that really can destroy relationships.
Yes, yes.
And one of the things that when we talk with couples, either through premarital counseling or advising or later in their marriage, in-laws.
Yes.
In-laws, tell the people the wonderful advice we received when we went through premarital advising on your grandfather's front porch, sitting on the green swing set. It didn't take us but about 15 minutes, and that's all we got.
That's all we got.
We got how many years we've been married?
We've been married 18 years now.
So
18 years. So
we got like a minute of counseling for every year we've been married so far. We still here.
So what he said was, he said, now, when you marry her, you marry the whole family. So you just don't marry your wife. You just don't marry your husband. When you marry somebody,
it's a family.
You marry the entire family. In-laws go beyond just parents. You marry that person's brother. You marry that person's sister, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins. Yes. Those are in-laws. Some are more important than others. Some are not as important as others. But everybody has a role to play in that marriage. So you need to make sure that you understand that when you get married. Then you know
understand those family dynamics.
Yes.
And that is not to say that you just need to understand the dynamics. And you guys need to talk about it.
Yes.
You need to talk about it. If you I always say that dating stage is that honeymoon stage, and everybody, if there are things and stuff that you see, you need to talk about it. You need to talk about it. So, and we have talked to plenty of couples that they struggle in that area as it relates to in-laws.
Yeah. I just got a text. This is live interactive. A lot of people in apartments, they text us, and then you can also send questions in. So I just got a text from somebody, and they said, I see a still photo on YouTube says waiting for Bishop. So that person's on YouTube looking for me. We want to let everybody know that this is not on this. I know they said they see a still photo on Facebook, but this is the primary thing that we're doing on YouTube. So we need to make sure that we. Oh, that's my pastor. Did you let her know for me? Please
tell them where we at.
That's my pastor. Okay. So again, like I was saying, that and so he told us. He said, when you marry your wife, you marry the whole family. And the second thing he said, teeth and tongue fall out, but they never get rid of one another. In other words, he was saying, in a marriage, you're going to have disagreements. You're going to have things that you don't quite agree on. And we're going to talk about that. I think that's going to be the last segment, fighting fair, how to have a fair fight in marriage. Mm-hmm. So we're going to talk about it, but teeth and tongue fall out, but they do not get rid of one another.
I want to talk about this in-law thing. Let's talk about
Let's talk about in-laws. Okay, now.
Because I'm just trying to make sure he ain't throwing no punches. Because, I just want to make sure. Because when we were thinking about topics, this is like, he was like, let's talk about in-laws. And I'm like, So let's see.
There are 10 things that we've experienced when we take couples through premarital counseling. Now, I do want to put this disclaimer right there. We're going to talk about a lot of different things, and everything does not apply to every situation. We tell people a lot of times when we talk to them about marriage counseling, is that we just kind of lay a blueprint of how a marriage should look. It's almost like when we had our home built here in Georgia. We had a blueprint, but then you could actually take that blueprint. You know how a house is supposed to look, but then you and your husband, or you and y'all will sit down and say, well, I don't want my bathroom on the first floor. I want my bathroom over here. I don't want this. I want it here. And so that's what we're going to do. So everything that we're going to talk about tonight does not apply to everything. In different situations happen. And I was putting a lot of things on Facebook, and I want to just say before we get started, and this is not to get any brownie points. I have been blessed, and my wife has been blessed. We've had great in-laws. The reason being, and I'm not really just trying to, because we've experienced some of this. We'll tell you the ones that we've experienced, but we've had great in-laws. I think because my wife's mother has been married a long time, and my parents have been married a long time. So they've been together a long time. So that kind of knew what it took to keep a marriage together. So we didn't really deal with a lot of the stuff that we're going to deal with. But over the 10 years, we've been married. We've been pastoring 15 years. Over the 15 years, we've been pastoring and guiding people. These are 10 things that have come in our door. We've heard these things. Number one, and a lot of you are going to hear them. You're going to be like, I've heard that before. Number one of the things that you're going to deal with in-laws is going to say this. Your child, you are not good enough for my child.
Ooh.
I've heard that one.
I've heard
that one. And I know many
of
you out there, you've heard that.
Some of you got some bold future in-laws or some bold in-laws who aren't very good at choosing their words, or they're very straightforward. And we've heard that. We've heard people say that to someone. You're not good enough.
You're not good enough for my child. But the problem with that whole statement, I want you to get this, is child. They're still a child.
In their parents'
and you have to understand, once you become a husband and a wife, you're no longer a child. You are a husband and you are someone's wife.
You're an adult.
You are an adult. So it is up to you to defend that person. And we've heard that several times. I always say this joke that me and my wife, we get married. I always say this joke, is this right here. Years ago, me and my wife, when I asked for my wife's hand in marriage, I went to her father and I said, hey, Floyd, I want to marry your daughter. And I promise I'll be good to her. I promise I'll treat her
so
right.
Sweet. What sweet thing?
Floyd yelling. Looked at me in my face.
My daddy, my love. What did he say?
And he said, hell no, you can't marry my daughter. I said, what? I was so offended and hurt. I was like, what? I can't marry her? He was like, no, you ain't got nothing. Well, at the time, in all fairness to him, you know, in my...
he didn't see all this greatness coming.
He didn't see all this greatness.
Yeah.
And I've come a mighty, like the old folks say, a mighty, mighty long way. But let me tell you one thing about Floyd Yelling Jr. Years ago, he came to me. We were sitting down at dinner down at a restaurant in Bessemer called the Bright Star. Mm-hmm. And he said, man, you know, you turned out to be a good husband. And that was the approval I was looking for all those years. It took him years to come to that conclusion. Hey, glory. But he realized that I was a good husband. But the point I'm trying to make is that there are couples out there that are dealing with parents that really feel that person's spouse is not good enough for them. And let me tell you something.
And they make it known.
If you love them, they're good enough.
Wow.
You need to affirm them. Yeah.
I love that. And that's so important and we see that. And oftentimes what we see when we're dealing with couples, you always have one of the spouses who's not as assertive, who's more passive. And so sometimes they allow things to continue. Then you have one that's a little bit more assertive. But you have to stand up for your spouse. Not that you get in a spitting match. You don't have to do that. But if you feel that that's the person that God has placed you with, you have to say, Mom and Dad, I love you. I respect your opinion. However, this is what we're going to do.
And this is the decision I made.
And this is the decision that I made.
And if you love me, you'll accept the decision.
Exactly.
Now, we got 10 of these, so we're going to try to rush through these because we only have about a few more minutes.
Okay.
It says, this is number 2. Now, this is the one my wife had to deal with.
What is that?
When are y'all having children?
If you are,
you just got married. You just got married. Just walked down the aisle. Dun, 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 dun. You may kiss your bride. You kiss them.
When are you going to start a family?
As soon as you go on the reception.
You have to start a family when it works for you guys.
Yeah.
And we're not saying that this is a perfect time, but it's not your family's. It's not up to your family when you start a family.
Right.
Because you have to take care of that child. You have to make the adjustment in your life. It is not up to them. So don't let them pressure you into doing something that you and your spouse are not ready to do. And I always say, now sometimes things work out differently and there's always exceptions. But you need to spend time with each other and get to know each other.
Get to know each other first.
And get to enjoy that time together and working out your relationship, the beginning of your relationship.
Number 3,
right.
as we can spend a lot of times when we take people through premarital advising and counseling, we spend a lot of time on each one of these because you're going to encounter this or something like this. But here's number 3, and this is very important: meddling.
No, in-laws don't meddle, do they?
They meddle.
What?
Meddling. This how I handle it. If I was you, this is what I would do. And it's amazing to me how my mother used to always say hindsight is 20/20. You know, a lot of times they're dealing with different situations. But listen. One rule that me and my wife have, and like I said, now let me put a caveat on this now. One thing we have is we don't talk outside of our home.
Yeah.
What happens? Our business
is our business.
Is our business. Now, here's the catch, because we know we have partners all over the world. As a matter of fact, I heard one from one of our partners today in the Bahamas.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We need to. We're coming.
Yeah,
you want us to come down there? Bahamas?
We're gonna do America.
I feel we need to come down there.
Bahamas.
We need to connect with you guys. Physical connection.
I want to make sure because this goes all over the world.
Yes.
Now, if you're experiencing an abusive situation,
yes,
and you need somebody to talk to, then you may need to talk to your parent. Exactly. Or talk to somebody that you trust.
We're not talking about
that. But what I'm talking about is you exposing your spouse.
How you spend your check.
Yeah, all of that.
Where you staying for Christmas at?
Meddling business. We ain't got to that one.
I'm sorry.
But meddling in your day-to-day business, knowing
exactly.
what kind of sickness that is, what kind of sickness your spouse, they don't need to know that.
Exactly.
That is between a husband and a wife. And a lot of times, if you keep it within the confines of your home, you can handle it. My father gave us... Okay, go ahead.
Okay, no, go ahead.
My father gave us some of the best advice when we first got married. Remember, he told us, he said, if you and Kim are having a spitting match, and at that time, I loved my wife to pieces. I said, no way in the world we would ever have spitting matches. He said, when you come to my home, he said, you all take a time out.
Check it at the door.
Check it at the door. He said, do not bring that in my home. He said, I want to know Kim one way.
Exactly.
And that's what we want to show. Your family should know your spouse one way.
Let me add to that. And I think this is really important. And one of the things that we've realized, and we tell couples all the time, when you're experiencing challenges and problems in your marriage, your relationship, it is so much easier to deal with it if you keep family out of it.
Yes.
Now, again, we're not talking about abusive situations or something
Those
like
extreme
that. Not that kind of stuff. But family doesn't forget.
But I'm talking about your spouse's flaws.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
All of us have flaws.
But you don't
have to flaunt
you
don't need to flaunt those flaws.
Around the dinner table.
You married the flaws. Y'all work them out together. But the thing of it is family doesn't forget. They will hold on to you guys can have a disagreement. And the next week you're fine, and it'll be 5 years later. They still talking about how he cut up at the table.
Yes.
Don't do that.
Yes.
Don't do that. It creates so many problems.
So many issues, so many problems. Number 4, this is how you should raise your child. We've heard this one. As if, and here's a lot of times, we've heard it from the parent that was parenting the spouse. And you want to say, you weren't the perfect parent. That's what you really want to say, but you don't say that at all. You kind of just say,
exactly.
You say, okay.
This is how you should raise your child. All of us, our parents, everybody's parents didn't do things exactly the same way. So you and your spouse are going to have to come together and figure out what works best for your home. That means that some things that mom and daddy showed you, you might need to adjust a little bit because your spouse parents showed them something a little different. You have to come together and make that for your home. And sometimes your parents won't like it.
Yeah.
They won't
you
like
want to skip some of these because we want to just go through?
I just think we talk and then we pick up next week. I think it's an important topic.
Okay, number 5, commenting on how you dress your children. Now, we've seen this both ways. Some people say you buy your child too much expensive stuff. And some people say you need to dress your child better. We've seen both ends of that.
Exactly. And that can create so much tension.
Yeah.
It really
how you
does.
Dress your child is how you dress your child. If it's okay between you and your spouse, it's okay.
And let me say, and I've seen this more so with women. And it really does something to you because when you're trying to be a good mom and you're trying to put together the look and what you think for your child, that really is bothersome. When somebody is coming back and coming against what you're trying to do. And a lot of times it's not necessarily offered in the most helpful way.
Right.
But it's as if you don't know what you're doing. And so you have to be so careful about that. Right. So careful about that.
We're going to probably not get through all of these because I know we're going to probably spend the last 2 minutes on this last one. And this one. We've heard this one so much.
Okay, go ahead this way. Go ahead.
Help us with these bills.
Okay, so but now you said help us with these bills. Now who's saying help with the bills? Is it the
parents, the in-laws?
Okay,
saying,
so family
help
members.
us with these bills. A family member say help us with these bills. Now, here's the thing. Now,
so
before we go into that, let's put a caveat on that. Okay, what I'm saying is that if you have a parent, if your spouse parent is sick or ill, and you have to step in and help, that's something that
you do your best.
Man, I tell you, I learned a lot from this man before he passed away, Louis G. I learned a lot from him, man. And he sat down and he said, you know what? He said, if your wife or your husband is ever dealing with a sick parent, he said, you have to step in and you have to take over. You remember he talked to us about that and have to help and do different things. I learned so much from him. But what we're talking about is able, healthy, body parents.
And maybe let me put this. Maybe before you got married, maybe you used to do a lot of things for your parents. We're not saying you don't love on mom and daddy, but you have a home to take care of now. So now you need to have a discussion with your spouse, not sneaking money and sliding it
helping people out. And here's the one thing, not necessarily sneaking money. A lot of times you can't meet your own needs in your house. So you taking money out of your home,
taking care of another
and so you're thinking you're helping, but you're really enabling. You're not helping, you're enabling. And if you don't stop that, you're causing a situation that will be difficult to change and fix. You don't need to be helping able-bodied people.
We know people that, we've had an opportunity to talk with, been married 10, 15, 20 years, and they're still dealing with that situation because it was never dealt with from the beginning. And then people start feeling, I hate to use the word entitled.
Yes.
But then people get offended. They'll get offended if you don't deal with it early on and deal with it the right way.
Let me give you scripture reference on this because we have the 2-minute warning. Scripture reference is this here. The Bible says charity starts at home and then it spreads abroad. The Bible says this to a husband, a person that cannot rule his own home well. If you can't rule your own home, you can't budget the money that's coming in your own home well, he says, how can you lead in the household of faith? So you trying to help everybody else pay their bills and your lights getting turned off. You trying to help everybody else meet their needs and your water getting shut off. You trying to help everybody meet their needs and your wife and your children are going without because you trying to be super duper child. You can't do that. You have to start at home first and then spread abroad. I knew we weren't going to get through all of
that. That's okay. In-law topic is an interesting.
It's very deep. It's deep. Because it's really deep. Because I want to talk next week. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say it's deep because it really has caused problems in a lot of marriages.
Divorce. There are 10 reasons why couples get divorced. 10 reasons why couples get divorced. Number 1 is money. Number 2 is time. And number 3 is in-laws.
Dealing with in-laws.
It is important. It's very important that we deal with this, okay? So we're going to shut it down right here. We'll be back next Thursday, guys. Please help us grow this. If it's been a blessing to you, share it with your friends,
send
your
us
family.
comments.
You know somebody that's struggling in this area, send the video to them so that we can be a help to them.
All right, you guys have a wonderful evening, a great Friday on tomorrow, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week, guys.